Do you have a joke?
Shall I tell one?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I brought in reinforcements for the joke telling part.
My mother had one where the mother went to the bedroom to wake the children up, and they didn't respond. And she went back a few minutes later, and they still weren't moving at all. So the third time she went in and said, "Kids, this is Monday, tomorrow is Tuesday, the next day is Wednesday, the week is half over, and you are still in bed."
Okay, Darlene, you have to work on some more for next time too. This may be a regular occasion. Oh, we're ready to go. All right, sorry for that delay. Welcome everybody, but where is everybody? Was there like a party last night? A little bit too much eggnogs? People are sleeping in? Oh, yeah, but you know, we have got a bunch of seats here. It was a little bit more full last time. But anyway, I'm glad that you're all here, and hopefully we're all glad that we are here together. It's a lot more fun when we're in the same room together. So as always, there's lots of good stuff to talk about here for our December Fireside Chat. And you can see our little list of things here. I've got a couple things I'll cover now and then a few things towards the end. So let's see here. Another one. Okay, so on master planning, I just wanted to mention that there are some storyboards downstairs on B1. We're going to be moving some up to the main floor over by the Terry Street entrance so that you can look at them and kind of, you know, get the gestalt of it all and write your comments or speak directly to Eli. And then as we get a little bit more information and detail from Methuen, we'll have some small groups to kind of talk through some of the details of that. And I'm trying to get that going and make sure that happens sooner than later. And then on strategic planning, I thought we would be doing and having that conversation in December, but it's going to be a January conversation. There's too many things going on to kind of squeeze that in now. So we'll have that conversation in the mid part of January and kind of walk people through what our strategic planning committee decided and what the thought process was and loop everybody into that conversation. I also wanted to mention the Terry Ann Apartments. So some of you may know that the Terry Ann Apartments are the apartments directly north of the North Tower. And we have, over the years, always tried to keep our eye open on real estate around us because we want to protect our own spot or have future growth opportunities or whatever. And we have been unsuccessful in either trying to get Kindred over here to let go of some property or Virginia Mason. They're in their own little, merger thing. They don't have time to talk to us. We've been, Jim Fitzgerald and I have tried to get them off the dime for years. Anyway, we heard about maybe 3-4 weeks ago that the Terry Ann Apartments had been sold. And we were not a part of that conversation. And the reason we weren't a part of the conversation, as we found out, was because we had apparently a lawsuit at the time that we were building the North Tower, and we got into a scrap with the longtime owner of the Terry Ann. So he wasn't really motivated to have us be a part of it because he had a grudge. So the apartment was sold, the apartment building was sold in August of this year for $6.3 million. And as soon as I found out that had been sold, I was pretty bummed that we were not included or have a chance at that. So I scrambled to get a hold of the broker and then ultimately the buyers of the Terry Ann. And I would characterize them, and I don't mean this pejoratively, but they are kind of a fix and flip. They buy something, they fix it up, and then they resell it, and they make money, and they go on to the next project. So Jim Fitzgerald and I, put our heads together and we're thinking, wait, this could be a killer opportunity. And some residents brought it up to us like, hey, how did that happen, around you and you didn't know? Well, it happened because they didn't want us to know. But we jumped on it right away, and I got a hold of the principal partners at Cadence, the buyers, and said, hey, we'd love to talk to you about this and understand this and see if it's an opportunity. With the strategic objectives being, well, can we build something there at some point in time, or can we own something that prevents somebody else from either taking our view or light or whatever, or just not having a nice place over there? Can we control that property? That was our kind of investment thesis. So we scrambled, and they gave us tons of information, and they said, hey, yeah, I mean, you know, we everything's for sale, is what they said to us. And, you know, of course, it's about price. So we dug into it in a lickety split, got into the details, and on paper, Jim and I were pretty impressed that this was a possibility. And we were feeling pretty good about that. And then Jim, myself, Eli, and one of our architects from Methuen went over to look at the property and to take the tour. And you know what? It's a dump. And it can't not be a dump. It really requires serious work. And so we looked at that because it has an exterior walkway, you know, kind of like the Motel 6 going into apartments. That's problematic for anything we would be doing. And it really, while structurally it's pretty sound, it really was something that would require a significant investment. But still, if the other investment thesis held up, meaning you could control the property because you could do something with it, well, it is zoned for 440 feet, which is like, I think, 40 stories or 45 stories. So you're going, okay, good. Here's the problem. It's, I think, a 7,800 square foot piece of property. And the requirements for setbacks really get onerous once you get over 85 feet, which is about a story or so taller than what it is, which means nobody can build anything of significance there. So why do you want to pay for something that really isn't going to be your problem in the future, other than you don't control it? You're not going to be able to put up a building. Nobody else is going to be able to realistically put up a building of any size. And then it started to kind of break down for us because we figured this is going to be easily $10+ million of investment. And what were we getting out of it? We weren't going to get a place that we could ever really fix up for residents to live in. And we weren't really buying protection from some big tall building because it's not something that you could do unless you built literally a pencil tower. So we decided to pass on it and felt that there was not a significant risk of not owning that piece of property given the price, given the condition of the building, and the limitations of what that piece of property could do. And if anybody wants to see more detail on that, feel free to talk with me or with Jim. Jim and I were both very, we thought we were going to make this thing happen and just spring it. And we talked to the board, but when we started digging deeper, we just didn't like what we saw. And so for those of you who are familiar with that, you can walk by it, you can see it. The new owners, I think, are sprucing it up a little bit, but it's pretty much on the margin. So we don't think it's going to be a problem for the future, and we would really rather have dry powder, meaning have money available for something we really would want and something we could really do something with, and the Terry-Ann doesn't really qualify for that. So that's that story. On diversity, the board passed at the last board meeting a policy to expand our effort in diversity of our resident base and of our staff base. And we'll be sharing that policy. And it's intended to really, kind of honor what our overall mission is, and that is about diversity. We have socioeconomic diversity, and we certainly have religious diversity, and we don't have as much ethnic diversity as the board and various committees felt that we should have. So we're going to be making a stronger push on that. And it's going to be something that involves residents. There's a role residents play. There's a role that administration plays. There is a role the board plays in order to, over time, kind of change the characteristics of Horizon House so that it kind of meets what our missional objective is. Kind of on the same theme of that, that will be shared. And there will be some discussion. My understanding is, and I've had some conversation with some committees, with both Diversity Committee, the Ethnic Awareness Committee, and my understanding is the Residents Council is going to plug into this, that we're going to have some conversation around Black Lives Matter so that there is a universal understanding within Horizon House. What is the position statement we're making? And the reason we want to have that conversation, I mean a conversation, a dialogue, not just a lecture, but a dialogue, is so that for those people who feel that the Black Lives Matter movement is, a political agenda with nefarious intent, we need to separate ourselves from our understanding of Black Lives Matter from what might be attached to it from a political purpose. so that people in our community who do not necessarily share the same point of view about Black Lives Matter understand what our point of view is, and we in turn can understand what others might be thinking about it to either dispel that or to, appreciate it or whatever. So those, I think, will be conversations that we'll be having in the not too distant future here to just get a better understanding. It's totally in the value structure of Horizon House to have those conversations. And it's okay to agree to disagree, but it is not okay to not understand and have conversations. So hopefully we'll do that, and hopefully that'll be a learning experience for everybody. And whether it takes us to a new place or confirms the place we're at, we'll simply see. So that is all I have for right now. I'm going to pass it over to Christy, who is going to talk through both where we are financially now, how the budget looks for next year, and give you lots of details.
I can take this off. Yay. All right. Hi, everybody. Good to be here. So yes, I'm going to share where we are financially for 21 and then get into our 2022 budget. Can we do the next slide? Yep. There we go. Here's a snapshot of where we are for the first 10 months. Very, very small snapshot, but focus at the bottom there. We have a net operating margin of about $2 million, and that equates to a 10% margin. If we look at where we like to be at as our margin, we are aiming for a 10% margin. So that is a great number for us to have. 6% is what we budgeted, so we are well above what we budgeted. But we're not getting there the way we had anticipated. I think if you've been following Mike's CEO reports, you know that revenue is not where we anticipated it to be, and that is because we have lower occupancy. On our occupancy chart, there we go, independent living occupancy. I thought it would be helpful to see where we have come over the last 3 years. So 2019, pre-pandemic, we were up at about 97% for the year average. Pandemic hit and we had a little bit of a slide. We are averaged at 95% for the year. Not too bad, but still downward. In 21, we are averaging 92.6. And coincidentally, that is where we were last December. So we have actually been stabilized about that 92.5%, 93% for the year. So our occupancy seems to be stabilizing out after the pandemic. And hopefully now we'll just make some incremental increases as we go forward. When we talk about budget for next year, we are budgeting 93%. So again, right, kind of where we're going to end up the year, and hopefully just some incremental increases throughout the year. It's going to take us a few years to get back up to that pre-pandemic level of 97 or above where we were before. On assisted living, similar pattern here. Pre-pandemic, we were at 92%, dropped to 85, 86%. In 2020, and now we're averaging about 79%. For next year, we're budgeting 80%. Again, just little incremental improvement for next year in our budget. But of course, because our occupancy is lower, our revenue has been lower than we anticipated. We are below budget of about $500,000 for the year on revenue. Our expenses are considerably under budget. We are $1.2 million under budget on our expenses. $1 million of that has to do with payroll. I'm sure that's no surprise to most of you. Hiring is our biggest challenge right now. We've had 20 or more open positions almost the entire year. So that has been a challenge for us. We have the union contract was negotiated this summer. So we do have higher wages for our union staff now. Some of those positions increased 25%. Some of them went up 2 to 3%. So big range there. Those on the lower end of the pay range got bigger increases than those at the higher end of the pay range. But that's going to start impacting our financials as we look forward. We are also increasing nursing wages. So when we talk about wage compression, as we raise the bottom, those right above it, they need to be evaluated and readjusted as well. So we are looking at that, and we've made some adjustments so far. Nursing wages increased effective November 1st. They went up 9%, and we may end up having to do more as we are not able to hire some of those positions at the lower end of the wage scales. And just for comparison, I thought I'd just throw this out there. If we were to increase wages $1 per person per hour for every staff member that we have here, that is a $400,000 impact on our financials for the year. So wages are very tricky, and we want to make sure that everyone's getting paid well, but there is definitely the financial impact to that. And that 10% margin that we have now will probably erode a little bit as we get to the end of the year. Like I said, nursing wages started November 1st, so that is not reflected here. And we also paid out a bonus to all of our staff members in November as a thank you for their efforts for this year, knowing that a lot of them have taken on extra shifts, worked a lot of overtime, many days in a row to fill those open shifts. So we're very thankful for that. Yeah, thank you. So getting into the budget, so that sort of sets the stage as we get into our budget. So here's just some numbers here, and you can see at the bottom there, we're budgeting 1.3 net operating revenue, 1.3 million operating revenue, and a 5% margin for the year compared to that 10% that we have this year. So some of the highlights, occupancy, as I mentioned, independent living is at 93%, assisted living at 80%. You all should have received your letter in your mailbox this week and giving you your new monthly fee with that 4.5% rate increase. We do like to kind of see what our competitors are up to and what they're increasing their rates for this next year. We found some at 5%. We found another up to 6.5%. So, you know, we do try our best to keep that as low as possible and balance out all these other things that we have to balance out. Let's see. So choice dining, $240 a month. That's a 4.5% increase. It's $10 a month. I put what a bargain because we do see other communities who are charging 50%, 100% more than what we're doing here. And they also expect you to use that on a monthly basis. And we give you that 6 months. We try to give you more flexibility to use those dollars when you want to use them, not necessarily on a monthly basis. Let's see. Okay, so the biggest change here is for our budget is payroll. No surprise there. Payroll expenses are going up almost 13% next year. That incorporates all those union agreed wages that we just talked about. They also get an increase January 1, and they also get an increase on July 1. So they get 2 increases next year from the union contract. Nursing staff also is increasing, and then we have to continually monitor the market and see if we're able to hire positions. If we can't, we're going to have to evaluate our wages again and see if we need to make more movement there because those positions have been open for quite a while. So we'll see what that brings. We're not sure yet, but there will be some more movement with wages most likely. And then on the non-labor side, increases almost 8% for this year. And we have some very specific things built into here. One is assisted living regulations. As you can imagine, there have been changes because of COVID and things that are required up in assisted living. In 2020, a lot of those changes were funded by the county, and that funding is now drying up. And so Horizon House now has to build that into our budget. Branding and logo replacement. You'll hear more about this, but we are planning a new logo for next year, and that requires us to replace everything that has a logo on it, which my name badge, your name badge is everything, letterhead, everything that has a logo, signage, whatever you can see around that has that will be replaced. And then let's see, technology. You know, we always looked at technology to see where we can reduce the reliance on labor, right? So we want to make sure that technology is being used in ways that we can use our staff in more effective ways. So there's technology costs built in there, as well as, you know, cybersecurity is a big thing right now. People talk about that a lot. And we just went through a HIPAA security audit. And there were some things that we could do in there that involve some additional technology as well. So we're constantly monitoring our software systems and making sure that they're healthy and strong and hack-proof, if you will. So we have dollars in there to help us to do that. The other thing that I neglected to put up here is we have some resources set aside for staff retention, because obviously that is a big piece of what we need to do. So we have additional dollars invested in our human resources in order to show staff their appreciation and help retain them with the organization. I think that's all I have. Questions will be, you can ask afterwards. And if you have anything specific that you want to talk to me directly about, please come see me in my office. I'm there most of the time, so happy to talk to you about it. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning. Howdy, everybody. So I just have a quick couple things to go over. As many of you know, we're doing our fall risk assessments right now downstairs. We had our first day on Wednesday. We did it for 3.5 hours and had over 55 residents participate, which was awesome. My staff is doing it, so it's me, Deborah, and Brian, as well as we had some University of Washington occupational students in their master's program helping us too. And they're also helping us in various areas right now, but very exciting times. But we still have a couple more to go. We actually have them today from 12:30 to 4 o'clock, and the same thing for next Wednesday and Friday as well. But what these are measuring, it's an evidence-based fall risk assessment. So they only take about 10 to 15 minutes to complete with 3 assessments. But what we're measuring is your muscle strength, muscle power, dynamic and static balance, gait, and your joint mobility. So it all might be a lot of jargon that may not make much sense right now, but it's going to a bigger, longer standing project with us, to where if you complete this program, we're going to be able to give you a personalized fall prevention program for yourself. And that's not only just like a printout piece of paper you would normally get, you'd also get access to an online portal that you get videos of the exercises that are recommended to you, as well as it's progressive. So later on, we can reassess you and your exercise program will change, whether it becomes more challenging or easier. It's just based on how you're doing at the time. So that's why we're doing these assessments, gearing them to giving you a more personalized approach to fall prevention, but also these measures that we're taking are also going to give us a better idea of programming the appropriate classes. So as a total, if we see that Horizon House is lower in joint mobility than we thought it would, we need to make sure that we have the appropriate number of classes that address that. So it's really going to help us with our decision making. It's not necessarily going to change your classes that you love. We're not going to get rid of any classes. This is just giving us ideas if we need to increase more of a class. Maybe there's a class that's only 2 days a week, and we notice that 2 days a week at 30 minutes is only going to see maybe 30 residents, that we need to get either 3 or 4 days a week. So this is going to help us lead to better decision making based on evidence. And all these are based on research studies that we've been reading through currently. And also this personalized program that's coming in is an outside company was the person who was head of it. I just had a meeting with him. He is the lead researcher on the study. So this personalized program is actually presented to you next year in mid-January. We're going to do a big rollout for all this. So not only are you going to get personalized individual programs, but also on your group class schedule, it's going to highlight which areas each class is improving for you. So based on your tests, you can see that you have some work to do in a certain area. So you can seek out on the group schedule of a class that may fit you, or if the group classes are not your thing, you're going to have a personalized program to do. So we're trying to find every avenue possible. For some people like to do classes, some don't. Some people like to do at home. So this personalized program you'll be able to do at home, as well as we'll be updating our 370 schedule next year to get more of our fall prevention classes on there as well. Let me go through my notes. I'm a fast talker and a fast thinker, and if I don't write it down, it's not going to happen. I think I did it. Yes. So the last thing is just we're working right now, me and my team, on creating the next year's schedule. As many of you have seen, we've already had some new classes start with Deborah coming in. I think many of you have realized really quickly how fabulous and how lucky we are to have her. Felt really fortunate for her to be here at this time, but She just had her first chair yoga class downstairs and had 25 people. And the first response I had was when people left was, we need it more than once a week. And that's what we're trying to find right now is as we program for next year to know if the days of the week work, if the times work, if we need to increase a class or decrease it. So we're going to be putting out our new 2020 schedule December 27th. And I'll put out an alert for that. But we'll print out the schedules for you. We'll make them available. We'll have them on a piece of paper. One side will be your weekly schedule. And on the back side of the paper, we'll give you all those class descriptions too. So just trying to make ways to help you with decision making. But we are always still here to help ask or answer any questions as well. Feel very fortunate to be part of a really, really awesome team, not only in wellness, but just as a whole right now. So really exciting times down there. Yeah, the assignments, we have our signups still going on for the assessments. You're also welcome to walk in too if you're not sure what your time frame is. They're only 10 to 15 minutes. We can probably squeeze you in, or you can just call us and we can schedule you for a one-on-one assessment. But for our time's sake, if you can come to the assessments, that would be peachy. But if not, we will definitely work with you because we want this to help as many people as possible. And that is all my mind has for right now. And then we're gonna have Jeff Townley next for food services. Thank you for your time.
All right, well, hello everyone. Happy holidays. Yeah, I'd like to start off talking about Thanksgiving. We had a really nice Thanksgiving meal today, or meal this last month. 12 to 3, we served about 250 people that day. It was really nice. You can see the decorations. If you want to go back real quick, I mean, Oliver's display there with the pumpkin and everything was just amazing. The cornucopia, he made that himself. He's so creative. We're just so lucky to have Oliver here. So as you all know, I don't need to speak on that much at all. We got Fearless Leader Barry over there on the line. But it worked really well. We had kind of 2 different sessions, 2 seatings as we like to call it. And about a little bit over 100 people on each seating. Then we had about 45 people come through for pickup, and about 50 or 60 employee meals we put out that day as well. So really, really nice time. I think everybody enjoyed it. The food was fantastic. I took a whole box home with me, plus 8 there, and I think I had about 4 or 5 Thanksgiving meals over the course of Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's my favorite meal. So, and then on to the next slide. Another picture of the staff from that day. Everybody had a really good time. Everybody's working hard, as you can see. So talking about Christmas, with how well Thanksgiving went, we're going to kind of operate Christmas the exact same way. So we're going to do kind of a reservation event next Wednesday from 2 to 4. Reservations will be open till about the 20th, and then we'll close it down at that point. We just need to have the numbers by then so the chef can make sure he has enough food on hand and everything. The time's going to be a little bit different. We're going to do more of a brunch style that day, so it'll be 10:30 to 1:30. And then if you're going to pick up food, we're going to say maybe between 11:30 to 1:30 for picking up the food. It's just important to get that first group of people in so we can make sure we turn it around for the next group of people. So, and that's how we did it for Thanksgiving, and it worked out really well. If you're going to pick up, please just shoot me an RSVP just so I know. Once again, that's just so we kind of have a number on how many people we'll be feeding that day so we can have enough food on hand. And it should be really nice. We don't have the menu quite yet. I'm hoping this week we'll have that finalized and we'll get that posted and out to you. Not listed as New Year's Eve. We're kind of just in the infancy stages discussing that. So look for some information in the next week or 2 about New Year's Eve as well. And then moving on, I just wanted to talk a little bit about just hours and kind of operation, what we're doing. Everything's kind of the same with what we've been doing. I do know we have some newer residents as well, so I thought this might be good to put this information up. But breakfast is Monday through Friday for delivery and pickup, and that is from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday from 10:30 to 1:30. Once again, that's delivery and pickup. Lunch is every day, Monday through Friday from 12 to 1:30. And with lunch, we ask for reservations, and I wanted to just kind of touch on that because we are getting much busier at lunchtime. 2 days ago, we did about 65 people at lunchtime. about 40 yesterday, and I know I have about 45 already reserved for today. And so most people are making reservations, and that's great, but we do really ask for that because it really helps us get the dining room set up. It also helps with the flow of how just service works. You know, we might only have 1 or 2 servers, and if we have 40 people coming right at 12 o'clock, we're not going to be able to deliver good service to everyone. And then also from the kitchen side, they're not going to be able to produce all that food and get it out to everybody in a timely fashion. More mistakes will be made and that sort of thing. So please make a reservation. With that being said, though, I don't want to discourage anybody that might be having like a chance happening or something like that, where you're walking through and you meet one of your friends. Hey, let's go have lunch. We want you to come have lunch, but just, you know, be understanding that you might have to wait a few minutes before we can get you sat. And there's always a rhyme and a reason to why we're doing those things. So I think that's it on that. Is that my last slide? Yeah. All right. Well, hope everybody has a good rest of the holidays, and come see us in the dining room. And then next, I think we have Miss Audrey Whitecamp. So thank you very much.
I think I'm following a lot of tall people. I'll stand on my tiptoes. The resident council changes its officers at the beginning of the year. And I would like to announce with great happiness that we have a new president, Elizabeth Hoover. Vice president for programs is May Gerstel. Vice president for administration, Carol Roach. And then we have 2 people that are continuing their jobs for another year. Secretary is Connie Hillier, and treasurer is Diane Tinker. I think the resident council is going to be in good hands. I'm pleased to introduce Elizabeth Hoover, our new president, and she is going to speak about her present job, which is with the ERF. Thank you.
Boy, I get to bring good news. It's with pleasure that I report to you for the Residents Council the results of this year's very successful, once a year only, Employee Recognition Fund Drive, the ERF, to recognize the service and dedication of our employees. Thanks to all of you who've contributed so generously at 91% participation for a grand total of $455,400. Did you hear that? Received another 1,000 yesterday and 2,000 more promised from IRAs. So these gift checks that we will be giving out will be in a range of amounts, however, based upon the number of hours that the employees worked during the year. And you're on, excuse me, your contributions to this cause are just one more expression of the graciousness of our exemplary Horizon House residents. Your gift checks will be distributed at the party that we create just for the employees on December 9 this year. And we can be assured, folks, that our employees will be grateful, and the success of this event should again demonstrate to them our strong goodwill in this community to retain our employees. And we wish everybody a happy holiday season. And now we're going to hear from Conti Magda from our HR department.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing good. I'm here to talk about the new hires and the promotions I'll first start with the new hires. We had 8 new hires since we met last time, and now I will introduce those new hires to you. Deborah Viren joined us as an exercise specialist in our wellness department. We have Jerry Ennis, a familiar face for most of y'all. He rejoined us as a garage attendant. Then we have James Trimp, who joined us as a wait person in our food services department. Alia also joined us as a wait person in food services department. And Mary Riss, another familiar face for all of y'all, she rejoins us as a social worker in assisted living department. We are really excited to have them all. Now the next 3 hires, we have them here in the room with us. Can I please request Joanne to stand up, please? Joanne will be our new communications manager. She joins us from Villa Academy, a private school in Seattle, where she managed communications. Joanne will be working with our communications team to support resident communication channels, staff communications, cross-department communications, and social media channels. Please, let's welcome Joanne once again with a huge round of applause for her. Thank you. Next up is Byron. Can I request Byron to stand up, please? Byron joins us as an HR manager. He will be actively working on growing our human resources team and adding values to our employee resource center. He has a strong passion for diversity, equity, and inclusion. In the past, Byron has worked in human resources roles in a variety of industries, with the most recent one at Loomis, where he served as an HR manager. We are really excited to have Byron join our team. Can we have a huge round of applause and welcome him to our team? Thank you. Now, the next up is Brian Byers. Yeah, he's our. Yeah. Thank you, Brian. We are excited to welcome back Brian Byers as Associate Director of Operations. Brian rejoins the Horizon House team after leaving in 2018. He had been working at Virginia Mason in a leadership role. He will be working with the operations team supporting Brian Holtz, and his area of focus will be our valet, EVS, and facilities team. Let's have a huge round of applause for Brian. If you see these new hires in our community in the hallways, please welcome them to the Horizon House family. Next up is promotions. Jeff Townley was promoted to Assistant Director of Dining Services. He has provided tremendous services to our residents and our staff. He has been a great support for us. So please congratulate him for his promotion. Thank you. Now I will turn it over to Mike for CEO announcements.
Thank you, Kanti. We're having the short, then the tall, then the short, and then the medium. I'm in the medium size. I'm medium size. I want to emphasize a lot about the mobility and balance. Ryan was very modest in what he is describing, but aside from serious illness, the single most important factor to living independently is keeping balance, mobility, and not falling. And I have a special appreciation for that because I know what it's like. And I found myself down in the gym a lot working on it. I want to talk with Ryan about taking that very same thing about my own mobility and balance, because I want to make sure that it stays secure for as long as possible. So I'm not, falling and having limitations to what I want to be doing. And I really encourage you to plug in. We are going to be increasingly making more and more push towards doing things related to balance and mobility. Because that, again, it's the single biggest factor that's going to determine a person's ability to live independently. So you will see more and more about that, and I hope you plug in and have a chance to benefit from the programs that Ryan and his team are sponsoring. Okay, a couple other things. Just on memorial guidelines, we want to have people have memorials here and to recognize and celebrate the life of a family member who has passed away. And just be careful when you're having those gatherings that people are wearing their masks and they're not just blowing it off. And you as the family member need to help. Because people who come in from the outside, they don't really know what the rules are. So we look for our residents who are having those gatherings to be the ones to kind of help make sure that everyone's kind of following the rules so that we can continue to have them. COVID vaccine cards, I was getting together with a friend last night at a local pub in Magnolia, and sure enough, got to whip out the card. So get prepared. And we don't have the vaccine information for you. So we do tell you where you can go and get it. If you go onto HHConnect, I think it's pretty clearly marked so that you can either download that to your phone or have a hard copy in your wallet, whatever, so that when you are out and about and you go to a restaurant or go to an event, that you are prepared and you don't, get stumped when you don't get to go in because you can't show proof of the vaccination. So if you have any questions about that, you can certainly check with the communication team about where on HHConnect that is. Now, speaking of HHConnect, we have been doing a lot to try to get this thing to navigate better. Brian Levitt and his team have been working diligently behind the scene to try to get it more navigable, to get it more informative. The first job is to get it so that it is easier to use and it's easier to understand. And with Joan joining us, the next thing is to really improve the quality of the content and raise that bar so that it really has meaning. The reality is that people will go to places that are of value to them. And we need to up the quality of content and the nature of that content so it becomes increasingly valuable and it's a good resource. This also works well on your phone now so that you can look at HHConnect via your phone. We're trying to move away from any department using PDFs. Those are static pages that don't translate well to either your phone or even on your computer. So we're trying to up our game a little bit here. So check out HHConnect and make sure that that's working for you. And then also, you may be a part of successive groups that are learning how to use that K4 app where everything's on your phone. Let's see. Okay, now there was a mention of the rollout. I'm going to go to the elevators. That's fine. We can see it, elevators. I guess I skipped over elevators. Maybe that's because I'm afraid of the elevators. I don't want to ride them, but they're really okay for you. So I sat in a meeting last week with our facilities team and with the service providers for the elevators. And we had a very firm, hard conversation about, that somebody can quote you and say, well, we're 98% uptime, which on a percentage basis is great. Unfortunately, you all care about the 2%, right? It's the 2% that matters. So we had a lot of conversation about these elevators and, do we have bad elevators? Do we, are they just worn out? Well, there are a lot of, they're not bad elevators, but they do need to go through a sequence of improvements, and we're going to be embarking on that next year. They are mostly preventative. There's nothing there now that is catastrophic, notwithstanding that if you have a movement in that elevator, it's going to feel catastrophic, and I get that. But we're going to try to make sure that if they can't store the parts that typically are used in a lot of the repairs, then we'll store them because we need to have quick access to resolving elevator issues. We made it clear in no uncertain terms that they need to step up their game, both in response time and their ability to help us be proactive in addressing issues that are problematic with elevators. They're very mechanical, they break everywhere, not just here. But we have asked them to step up, and I believe they will. And if not, we will find those who can do that. So I will stay close to that because I know that that is something that everybody here cares about, and they should. and we have a responsibility to make sure that those are safe, efficient, and operating at as close to 100% as possible. So that's where we are in elevators. Okay, we covered HHConnect. So rollout of brand identity. So in the coming weeks, we are going to share with you a revised mission and vision statement and a revised brand logo for Horizon House. The idea of the mission and vision is not to change it radically from where we are, but to shorten it up and get to the essence so it rolls off the tongue of everybody, our staff people, our residents, in the material that we share in our advertising and marketing campaigns, so that it's a little bit tighter and something that is more demonstrable of who we are. So we will share that with you in a few weeks. And we will also show you, what a new logo looks like. So you can see this is historically how we've looked down below. And so somebody said to me, and it was a good question, but hey, why do we have to update our logo? I mean, come on. Well, that was said back here, right? So we all like what we have today. And everyone liked what they had in 1977. And everybody liked what they had in 1982. And everybody liked so on and so forth. The point is that when you freshen your brand identity, you appeal certainly to the people who live here, hopefully. We don't want you to not like it, but you send a message and a statement to the community at large that you are progressing, you are moving forward. And if you look at our competitors out there, Tacoma Lutheran is no longer Tacoma Lutheran. They are Elysium. Now, I don't know where that name came from. That's weird. It doesn't fit for me. But the point is, they came up with a new brand, a new look, and they're trying to market around it. Why? Because they don't want to get locked into being something that seems older and staid, because they know that will not market to a new resident. So periodically, and it's usually kind of like in 10-year cycles or so, we're a little bit behind that, you need to update and have a brand that goes through, that is updated and more progressive. And we went through, and Laura will explain this, we went through a process. We didn't just pick something randomly out of a book. We went through a process. There is a little bit of a way in which you do this to make sure that you are thinking it out. And we had a couple that we nailed down, and we'll share with you what those were and what we kind of decided to do. And hopefully you'll like it. And my guess is that even if you don't like it, over time you'll say, yeah, it's pretty good. That worked out. Yeah. That's how it is with the Fireside Lounge. All the people who said, oh my God, I can't believe it. This, I don't know. Now everybody loves it. So I believe that there's something to be said for getting used to things over time and appreciating it. And hopefully you'll feel that way about the logo. And let's see. Okay. So, hey, bright spot. I think we have some reality TV stars here. They are in the Monday market. King 5 likes our Monday market. In fact, I saw Susan Bresch in the hallway, and she had kind of an exasperated look. And I said, is it painful to be a reality TV star? Is it, you're in demand? And she said, well, it is a little bit of work, but we're really excited. So what this is about is that when you show your community doing the real things you do, it's like what life is like here. So I get the newspaper on the weekend, you folks probably do too, and you'll see these advertisements for luxury living at Murano, at Mirabella, at Skyline, and those are not real people, okay? They are people that are come out of a clip art or a magazine or something that is not who they are. And our goal is we want to talk about what we really do here, because we have authentic people doing authentic things. And we want people to have an experience when they see something on King 5 or they see it in print, that when they actually walk in here, they're going, oh, wow, this is exactly what I saw. Not that you saw some image and some logo and then came in and said, wow, this doesn't look at all like what I just read in the newspaper. So our goal is authenticity. And I think that Monday Market is a terrific example of the involvement of residents and the things that we do here that will resonate with a lot of people. And they want, King 5 wants us back. So good thing. And then, of course, we did talk about Thanksgiving, and that was a great celebration. And of course, we always say great things about Oliver, because can you believe the creativity we get? I mean, really, it's over the top. It's over the top. Now, there's a lot of people who make Thanksgiving and Christmas happen out of food service. I think they all do a bang-up job, and it's led largely by Jeff and certainly Barry and Oliver and the rest of that team. They're dedicated people working under difficult circumstances, and it's also great to have the creativity of somebody like Oliver to make those presentations in a really fun way. That doesn't really happen at other places. I think that's it, unless there is any other questions or anything. You know, again, budget stuff, talk with Christy, or you can talk with me. If you have some, you know, want to know a little bit more detail, more than happy to flesh it out. You know, we share everything. We tell you, you know, we try to organize it in a way where it's bite-sized and you can digest it. But if you want more details, then come and talk to us and we'll lay it out. So, okay. Oh, Jean, did you have a comment?
Question.
Yeah.
I just want a clarification. Maybe this is for Elizabeth, but the employees party is not, we are not invited to that this year. Is that true?
Quick, Elizabeth.
Judy Ostro here. She's got
Is Judy here?
party. Judy Ostro, not here. Well, I'm sure you're welcome to
Yeah.
observe, but actually it is created for the employees to just come and pick up their checks and take home a treat under this, under these restrictions. We can't have their families here.
Yeah.
As we normally would, so it's in a small area. And they'll hopefully, excuse me, we have a hand over there.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get to a bigger party next year when people can be
Hopefully.
together. That's our goal. Sally?
It's just for the staff that are working there and, I mean, the residents that are working there. and the
Okay.
staff.
So the party is for the staff and the residents who are working for putting on that staff party.
But when
Okay.
is it? What's the date?
And it's
December 9th.
December 9th. So that's next week.
Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday the 9th.
Thank you all. Oh, there's a question over here.
There's a question about the equipment and the scaffolding
Yeah. Okay.
in front of the building.
Yeah.
And is the contractor paying for that, or
Yeah.
are we paying for it?
Well, I mean,
It's
ultimately,
all rental.
yeah. And ultimately we pay for it, but there are a certain number of days in it. So let me explain that. The reason why the scaffolding is there as long as it is because we were doing the engineering that creates the scaffolding that goes around the perimeter of the Sky Lounge so that they can do the repair work to the Sky Lounge. And the engineering that was done was not sufficient given the nature of the building and how they tie into the concrete. And that had to get re-engineered and everything kind of stopped for a while. We don't have to pay the extra days for scaffolding or anything else that has taken them to redo the engineering because they should have done it right in the first place. But in general, the scaffolding is a part of the overall cost of a project. Does that make sense, Dan?
I guess.
Yeah. It makes sense even if it's not really something we like, but that's a cost. We do have to pay to have the scaffolding put up. Okay. Thank you all. Have a good day and weekend.